Welcome to The Center, a show centered around women and girls who have experienced domestic abuse and trauma. The show provides tools and resources to help women and girls reach their highest potential. My name is Veronique George, and I'm your host, and I'm so excited to welcome Shayla Hernan Edmonds as our co-host for The Center.
Thanks, Veronique. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. So today I have the pleasure of introducing our next guest. And this is a really special topic and a special guest that's near and dear to my heart. Today we're talking about motherhood. And so it's our honor to welcome Reverend Mia Hash Sloan to the center. Reverend Sloan is the Faith Project Manager at Wake Forest University's School of Divinity's Compass Initiative and Faith Coordinating Center. She focuses on curating spiritual well-being spaces across a broad range of religious and spiritual ideologies. Welcome, Reverend Sloan, to the center, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Mia, how do you balance the responsibilities of motherhood with other aspects of your life, such as career, community involvement, and self-care?
Yes, thank you for having me and thank you for asking. To be candidly honest, I did not initially do a good job at that. I didn't do a good job of the whole work-life balance, which I sometimes think is just a myth. But I just didn't do a good job at it. I think initially I was too invested into that whole that trope of maternal sacrifice. And I did not initially do good with that. So in and out of that, I had to learn the difference between the actual sacrifices that motherhood often has to make, but I had to equally learn in versus being the actual sacrifice. Wow. I do think that, that is just something we sometimes as women overly invest into, and it does not always lend us and land us in a good place, because often we are then left with a lot of resentment towards our families because we're overly invested into this whole being the sacrifice. But there are sacrifices that are made. I do believe eventually over a period of time, I began to make a lot of wiser career choices where I did not make my motherhood nor my self-care negotiable. I had to start being very firm in my boundaries with my time with my career and how I invested my time, and then the additional time. And as I said, initially, I didn't do a good job at it, but over a period of time, and then with wisdom from other mothers, I then saw, okay, there's some pretty firm boundaries that I needed to start making. That really was a safeguard for not only myself, but my children as well. But eventually they gave me opportunity to begin to practice more self-care. So eventually over a period of time, I started making my motherhood and my self-care a non-negotiable in much of the way that I navigated my career.
Thank you so much for your transparency, having you open up as a mom and talk about not doing so well with that initially, and it being a learning journey is something that resonates. So I really appreciate what you just shared. So we talk about the fact that we've heard the phrase that it takes a village to raise a child. What has been the role of your village or community in your motherhood journey?
Oh, my village has been so instrumental. I really bless God for my village, and I'm glad that I was very invested into the concept of village, because and again, I continue to believe that we can't do it all. We can't be all that we need to be in our roles as parents and partnering and different things that we are very much engaged with. If we did not have our village, it would be pretty much, I don't see how people do it, honestly. And God bless for those who do not have one. But I'm very blessed and fortunate to say that I do have one. Of course, my family is my village, but even being very intentional in the people that I sought out, and I have to honestly say that Most High brought into my life to be an active part of my village, for myself, for my life, for my children, for my family. So they've been very, very instrumental in myself, in my development as a woman, in addition to my development as a mother. There's a lot of things I often say, and I tell my daughter this. I went down that road. Listen, I got all the stuff for that. You don't have to go down that road. And I think if I did not allow my village to be a part of my evolution as a mother, there's a lot of things I would have went through that I did not have to go through. However, I will say that I'm very grateful that my village gave me the space and gave me the autonomy and gave me the way to find my way as a woman and to find my way as a mother. We're not going to do it all, but the wisdom gives you the ability to have foresight about this journey and foresight about your children's evolution. So I'm just very grateful that sometimes, and then there is that. I think there's something as a woman, as a mother, that we go through, and then we often tell ourselves that we're the only ones going through it. And so
Yeah,
sometimes
that's so
that then
true.
lends us and leaves us in suffering and silence. But when you have that village, that trusted village, and knowing who's in your village and knowing who you can speak to in your village about very intricate, very delicate, confidential matters concerning yourself, your motherhood, your children, we then open up and see that, yes, some of our suffering in silence is a little bit unnecessary because someone has went through what we're going through. It's just us then leaning into enough vulnerability and authenticity to be open about what we're actually going through and allowing people to speak and give voice into our journey, not to overshadow our voices, but to only uplift them and just give us some consolation in this evolution of motherhood.
Wow. Thank you.
Evolution of motherhood. I love that.
I was
love
thinking the
that's a
same
journey.
thing. That's a t-shirt.
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. How has the experience and the evolution of motherhood changed over the generations? And what are some of the similarities and differences between your experience and that of your own mother or grandmother?
It has been very similar, but there has been differences. Just today, my she's getting ready to go to the prom. So just today, my mom called and she was like, I want to know every single, she wants to know every detail as if I don't, or I don't know that. But in the same
Yeah.
sense, I just kind of chuckled because my mother, she ruled with a very tight rope. So with myself, it's not that I have this long rope, but I have learned that I am to give my children, sometimes we often say give them enough room to enough rope to hang themselves. I don't want my kids to hang themselves actually before they get the
Yes, heard
lesson,
that.
but I do want to give them enough autonomy and enough
Yes.
grace and enough
That's good.
support. Okay, we're in the process, and I've provided my kids with that space. Sometimes that is a little antithetical to the way that I was reared because it was very much, you do as I say, I tell you, I tell you what I want for your path. And there was a lot of tension, if we're at all honest. It was beautiful, but it did sometimes erode levels of tension between us and our caregivers, meaning our mothers. But in the same sense, I took that lesson, but I then began to really ask myself, how do I want me and my children's relationship to look? And I had to then begin to really unpack my own stuff. I'll say, Sister Shayla, that's your stuff. So I had to really start understanding what was my stuff as a mother, and then what was actually some of the things that my children just needed the room to grow. So I think the difference was, we were very much, my grandmothers, my grand matriarchs, my mother did great jobs, but it was not this, I'm going to lead from behind, this lead from behind approach, as Nelson Mandela often tells us. Lead from behind. No, it's very much, I'm the leader, you do as I say. There's no negotiating. So even to the whole thing, I was telling her that my daughter's going to the prom, she's going to a party. A party, there's negotiation in this. There's a level of socialization in this aspect that I have to consider in a way that she would never consider. So that was a lesson that I learned from her, that was not it, because then invited me and was more invitational for me to sneak and do a lot of just foolish stuff. And I never want my kids to feel like that they have to sneak and that they have to do things behind my back, that we can actually foster a space of openness and we can communicate about hard things. It's not always easy to communicate about some of the things that our kids often want to do or decisions that they're making, but nonetheless, still creating and curating that space of safety and the healthiest safety that we know. And it takes work again from the village, in addition to therapists and all these different people that are helping to form, our village and our lives. It's great to have them as a part of this journey because I am unlearning a lot. I'm relearning a lot, but I'm equally keeping some things that were very much a part of my journey. So in helping my daughter, so I didn't throw everything away that maybe that my like I said, my grandmothers or my mom did, because they instill great things. In the same sense, I had to begin to be okay and give myself permission that, you know what, I may do it a little different, at the risk of them thinking that I may not be a quote unquote, air quote, like certain type of good mom. I'm a great mother. I just give my kids space to learn some things that I know we weren't provided the space to learn.
That's good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot there. Reverend Mia, I know that you are a mother in the traditional sense, meaning that you have brought two souls into the world. But I also think of motherhood as anyone who sort of holds a sacred space for people to grow and to be nourished and to evolve in the way that you just described your children. And so motherhood can show up in many ways. So my question to you is, knowing that many members of our audience may be moms or think that they someday want to be mothers, or they're non-traditional mothers, what advice would you offer them? What would have been meaningful to you when you became a mother that you would like to offer them as a gift today?
Well, I will offer the advice of just the embrace of embracing ourselves. I think we often externalize so much. We give so much power, as we should have people that we look up to or who are great stalwarts or examples, to where we look like, oh, they're this and they're this great matriarch, they're this great maternal. And I think that is important. But I do think that it's important for us to really embrace our own ways. And as you mentioned, there's so many different ways that mothering shows up, for us. If that's something that you want to do, I think it's something that we should give ourselves a right to lean into. My grandmother often spoke different things over my life, that she saw the foresight of the thing. And it's funny, now that I'm getting older, much of what she was speaking into my life, obviously one would think would be into my vocation as a minister or as a reverend. But I'm starting to see that my grandmother was really seeing something and connecting with me and calling that matriarchal maternal spirit, calling her forth. And it's funny, sometimes, again, if you are a certain type of woman and you have a certain orientation about yourself, sometimes there's certain people we look at, we would never think in a million years to be a mother figure or a maternal figure or force or a person who forms and nurtures. And I think that's because sometimes we discount aspects of ourselves because of we may show up a certain type of way. But I say, once you really sit down and really embrace yourself and really see that you have something to offer, first starting with yourself. I do believe before we can mother anybody, we have to first mother ourselves. So I think that is the first place to start, really embracing who and what you are, nurturing ourselves, loving ourselves, affirming ourselves, all the different roles that a mother may play. I think that first starts with ourselves and just really releasing that and just giving that off. And it's not being dictatorial and just imposing and yourself on people or their lives, but it's just opening yourselves to be that and how that unfolds. And I would have never thought, as you mentioned, and how Most High, how the Holy Spirit has unfolded my life to impact so many people and young people over the course of my life, I would have never admit, I promise you, I am the absolute last person you would ever think to have any type of maternal formation on anything. Because so, and I think that's because of just, I've always leaned very heavy into my Sagittarian energy. So people automatically think, oh, that's just irresponsible. And I sometimes overly invested into that narrative and didn't take myself quite serious as the woman and the mother that that spirit and that my ancestors were calling forth, like bring her forth. Because it's again, as you stated, it's not just a nurturing of your biological children, it's a nurturing. People just need a hug. People sometimes just need to be seen. People need to be acknowledged. And I think that is a very divine connection to God, to Most High, to let that maternal femininity like come through and give that exchange and to connect with people. That's I think the connection of motherhood with others that people are really really wanting to make that deep connection with. And so I just think it's being aware, and it comes a level of acceptance with ourselves, and understanding the acceptance that we have with ourselves is a gift to humanity, is a gift to humankind. So I'll offset the benefits of that beautiful maternal nurturing spirit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow.
That was amazing, Reverend Mia. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for taking us on the evolution of your motherhood. Shayla, do you have any thoughts about motherhood that you want to add to this conversation?
You know, I don't think that I can add much. I'll echo what Reverend Mia shared, and just, you know, I think that I want to amplify what she said about accepting yourself. The more that you do the work to know and love yourself, the greater, the stronger you become as a mother, as a partner, as a person. And oftentimes we've been socialized to put us last, which means we don't have much time to get to know ourselves.
Yeah.
And so starting there can change your life, but also change the way that you show up in the lives of those you mother. And give yourself grace, an abundance of it. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And thank you, Mia.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will talk to you later. Thank you so much again for joining the center.